Hello, this is Mator, the creator of the Merge Plugins xEdit script. Today I'm here to tell you about my latest version of the Merge Plugin script, version 1.7. This version has lots of new features, and I figured it was about time I made a new video telling you guys how to use this script, how to install it, all that good stuff, and to share with you the new features and kind of my vision of where the script is going. Anywho, let's get started. What is merging plugins? Merging plugins is a way that you can combine mod files, ESP files, into single ones. So multiple files into a single one. These are files from Test 5, Skyrim, Test 4, Oblivion, Fallout 3, or Fallout New Vegas. Basically, any ESP file that is supported by the xEdit program. Just a little bit of information. Mods are made of basically two things. They're made of assets, which are stuff like textures and audio files. And they're also made of records. And records are kind of like a data structure that tells the game how to use all of these different assets and how to implement them in the game. A plugin is the record side of things. It's just what tells the game how to use the assets. And as you all should probably know, Skyrim and all other Bethesda games have a maximum of 255 mods, or plugin files, that you can have in your load order. And this is just a limitation of the environment hexadecimal form ID numbering system. Each and every single one of these plugins can hold up to 16,777,215 records, or 16 to the 6th power. -1. And most mods that people make and post on Nexus Mods have something like 100 records. A few have maybe 1,000, and maybe a really small number of them, stuff like Fallscar, huge things, might have something like 100,000 records. So you have all this space in each of your plugins, and you're barely using it. So what do? You merge them. Merge plugins will let you combine these small plugins into a single, larger plugin. It will put you in control, and it will allow you to have more mods installed. So yeah, it's great. And merging plugins is really quite simple with my script, which does a lot of the complicated stuff for you. It does the copying of file name and form ID specific assets and a lot of other stuff, but there are still things that can go wrong. So I really would like it if you guys could follow my directions or the tutorial section here on Nexus Mods, which has information about how you do this as well. If you follow the directions, everything should go fine and dandy. And if you have any questions, feel free to post on the comments that are on Nexus Mods. You could post a comment on YouTube, but I really don't prefer that. If you can, please, please, please post on the comments that are on Nexus Mods. I look at this a lot more often than I do on the YouTube thread. So yeah, and you're more likely to get helpful information here because there's other people who follow this comments thread and who can help you out. Anyways, let's get started. The first thing you need if you want to use my script is Test 5 Edit or xEdit, whatever version. 3.032 or newer. Now 3.032 is the latest public release. And that release is great and all, but 3.033 is far superior. There are numerous updates. There's memory optimizations, speed optimizations, and several definition updates that will make it so certain types of records, specifically ones with script references, VMAD, will merge properly. So you really, 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 really should use 3.033. Don't think, I'm just going to use 3.032. Trust me, you will have a worse time. Use 3.033. So there's multiple links in the description. I'm going to use this one right here, and it will take you to the AFK mods thread here, and you can download it from this link. This will just be an archive, a 7-zip archive, which you can open with 7-zip or WinRAR or WinZip, basically any program that will allow you to open a 7-zip archive. And this archive will have all these files in it. You're just going to install these in your Skyrim directory. I prefer to put it in its own folder. It just makes me feel like things are organized. So we're just going to go here, just drag and drop into the Test 5 Edit folder in my Skyrim directory. Replace everything because I've already installed it. But anyways, we've got all that set up now. So that's installing Test5Edit. That's step 1. Step 2 is to install my script. So we're just going to go to the File section here on Nexus Mods, click Download Manually, continue with my download, and save it. And that should download really quickly. It's pretty small, only 203 kilobytes. In here you'll find a README. Doesn't have that much information in it. And there's also an Edit Scripts folder. You're going to copy this Edit Scripts folder into your Test5Edit directory over the Edit Scripts folder that's already there. And I have some conflicts, so I'm just going to do replacements for those. And that should be that. You're now pretty much all set. I'm going to be using Mod Organizer for this video, which is a utility that allows you to manage your mods. It's really a great utility. I'm going to close it right now and reopen it. I highly, highly, highly recommend use Mod Organizer. It will make your life so much easier. You can use Nexus Mod Manager if you really want to, but trust me, you will have such a better time if you use Mod Organizer. Your life will be easier. You will feel better. Please, please use it. So Mod Organizer, great utility, great utility. Anywho, we're now here in Mod Organizer, and I'm just going to, Mod Organizer. So first thing you're going to do is make sure that you have checked Have MO Manage Archives. This basically means that Mod Organizer will automatically extract the BSAs associated with your mods. And this is very important. Part of what the merge plugin script does is it will copy file name or form ID specific assets that need to be copied no matter what in order for the merge plugin to function properly for things like NPCs or mods with mod configuration menus or mods with voices that were generated. All those things, you have assets that the script needs to have access to. Those BSAs need to be extracted by Mod Organizer. So once that's checked, good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make it so Test5Edit can start through Mod Organizer. So you'll see this little drop down here. It should have Skyrim in it by default. I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to remove this example entry and remake it. So we're going to create an entry. We're going to call it Test5Edit 3033 example. And then we're going to find the Test5Edit binary that we just installed, Test5Edit, and we're just going to click Add. And it should add it at the bottom of that list. And now here it is. Alright, we've got Test5Edit. Test5Edit can now start through Mod Organizer. This is very important. If you start Test5Edit on its own outside of Mod Organizer, you won't have access to all your mods. You only have access to the Bethesda ESM files. So, very important that you start Test5Edit through Mod Organizer. And now we're going to choose the mods we want to merge. I'm going to be merging these character mods here. These are a whole bunch of mods that modify the character. So they add hairs or brows or eyes or tattoos, that kind of stuff. I personally think it's really cool to merge plugins that all do the same kind of thing, so you can have one plugin that handles everything of one sort. So you have one plugin for character mods, you have one plugin for your player homes, you have one plugin for your weather and lighting modifications, etc. You can merge really whatever you want, but that's just the way I really like to do it. And another thing that's really important is that all of these plugins that you're planning on merging are all contiguous in your load order. And what that means is that they're all lined up together, and anything that is a master to those plugin files is before them. So you're not mixing stuff up. That's just really important, otherwise you'll run into problems. So in my case, I'm going to be merging all of these. I'm also going to be merging these three masters. But again, it's all contiguous. There's not any dependencies in between that. So we're now going to run Test5Edit. Let me just make sure that I'm on track here. Yep. Okay. We're going to run Test5Edit. And it's going to ask you if you want to start Steam. Say no. We don't need Steam because we're starting Test5Edit. Test5Edit doesn't need Steam. Right click and go to Select None. And then we're only going to check the plugins we plan on merging. So down to here. And there we go. And the reason we only want to load the plugins we plan on merging is because If you load more, it'll just take longer for test5edit to load, it'll take longer for things to merge, and it can also make you run into problems. As of version 1.7, there are less problems. I made it so you can actually do renumbering of form IDs when more than 128 mods are loaded in test5edit, if you're using 3.033. That's important. So, yeah, I mean, you really shouldn't be loading that many in test5edit, but if you absolutely have to or absolutely want to, you now can. Anyways, I'm going to load these mods. It will take 10 seconds because these mods only depend on Skyrim ESM and Update ESM. But if I was loading stuff that relied on Dawnguard and Dragonborn and Hearthfires as well, then it would take more like 1 minute and 50 seconds to load. Anyways, we now have all these plugins loaded in test5edit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the top one by clicking on it, hold Shift, and click on the bottom one. And that'll select all of them. Then we're going to do something that's very important. We're going to right-click and click Check for Errors. This will make sure that there's no corrupted data or basically stuff that test5edit doesn't expect or doesn't like in here. And the reason we can't have that kind of stuff is if we did, it would cause the merging to fail. You wouldn't reproduce the data correctly, just would cause problems. So if there's no errors, you'll see in the message log right here, it'll say checking for errors in each one and all done, and there won't be any errors reported. That's good. You want that. If there are errors, you can't merge that plugin unless you fix those errors. And fixing errors isn't easy. I won't be going over that in this video. It's more advanced. Anyways, now that we've seen that there's no errors, we're going to right-click and go to Apply Script. We're now going to choose Merge Plugins version 1.7 from the drop-down menu and click OK. Now it's very important that it has version 1.7. If it's just Merge Plugins, that's not the right one. That's a different script. So Merge Plugins version 1.7, and here we are. We now have this beautiful window which lists all the plugins with already checked, the ones you had selected, and etc. Now what's new here in version 1.7 is these plugins are now colored. They're colored green if they have been reported by users to merge perfectly. So these plugins are all ones that I've submitted reports on already. You can see average rating of these plugins is 4.0 because it's only been submitted once by me, 1 rating, and from me you can see a note there saying merges perfectly, no issues encountered. And you can see that just by moving your mouse over the plugin, the hint box will appear and it will say that stuff. Green corresponds to a plugin that has been reported to merge perfectly. Yellow is merges but with issues, and red is merges but no, doesn't merge at all. There are problems, you can't merge this. Gray means there's no report submitted yet for that particular plugin. Now, these definitions are read from a dictionary file that you can find in Edit Scripts MP subfolder called Dictionary. And this has basically all the definitions that are being used by the Merge Plugin script. Anywho, we have all of these. You can see they're all green, so we're good to go. We're going to leave this as copy intelligently, renumber form IDs, and 2-pass copying. You don't want to change these options. These are advanced. You pretty much don't ever want to mess with those. You can see the FAQ about when not to renumber form IDs. Anywho, we're going to click OK, and it will start merging as soon as we specify a file. We're going to create a new file. We're going to call it character mods. And now we have this beautiful progress bar that's going to show you how far it is. And you can also follow the message log to see where it's at. And yeah, the progress bar is new in 1.7. It's pretty cool. So this will take a little while, so I'll get back to you guys when it's done. Alright, the merge completed. So we now have a new plugin called charactermods.esp. And if we go to the file header, you can see it was created with this version 1.7 of the script. And if you look here, you can see the list of all the files in it. And yeah, that's our merged plugin. So now what we're going to do is we're going to close test5edit right click, select none, and check only character mods. We only want to save the merged plugin. The rest of the plugins were modified because we renumbered form IDs to prevent conflicts. But we don't want to save those changes. That was only for the merged plugin. So we're going to save only character mods and click OK. Test5 Edit will now save that. And if we now go to Mod Organizer and go to the Overwrite folder and double click, you'll see character mods.esp. That's our mod. And there will be other stuff too there as well if assets were copied. If there were no assets copied, then there won't be. But anyways, we're going to right click Overwrite, click Create Mod, and we're just going to call it Character Mods. And we now have a new mod called Character Mods. And yeah, we're going to check this so it's now installed, and you'll see the ESP file will appear here at the bottom of the plugins. And we're now going to run Test5 Edit again to verify that this plugin is all right. So we're going to load only charactermods.esp. This extra verification step is just to make sure that nothing went wrong. Nothing really should ever go wrong, so you can skip this if you want to, but just to be safe, open in Test5 Edit, right-click the merged plugin, and go to Check for Errors. And a few seconds here. There we go. Checking for errors, all done. So no errors were found. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want to see. If there are errors, you can have problems in your game. Some of the mods might not work correctly, or your game might just plain crash. So if there are errors, don't do that merge. Something went wrong. Anywho, we now have this new plugin file. So I'm now going to go over real quickly how to generate reports or remove plugins from this file. So we're now going to right-click and go to Apply Script and choose Merged Plugin Manager version 1.0 and click OK. This script will now show us a list of all the plugins that are in our merged plugin. We can then check these plugins if we want to submit reports on them. So let's just say I want to submit reports on all of them. So I'm just going to check all of these real quickly here. And then I click the Report button. And here I can give a rating. Merges perfectly. If I know it's absolutely perfect, I've tested in game and there's no problems. Merges no CTDs means it merges and you were able to start your game and it didn't crash. Merges but CTDs in game means you got it to merge in Test5 Edit. There doesn't appear to be any errors, but when you actually try to use it in game, you get a crash to desktop and you know that it's this plugin that's causing it. Merges with errors means you managed to get it to merge, but when you did a check for errors, you found errors, and that's bad. Cannot be merged means you tried to merge it and Test5 Edit crashed, or Test5 Edit had a problem. Yeah, these are just the different ratings we have, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, respectively in numbers. Anywho, these mods all merge perfectly. I'm going to say merges perfectly. No issues encountered. Now you cannot submit a report until you edit both the description and the rating, just so you guys know. Now I'm going to click Submit. It's going to ask me, am I sure? I'm going to say yes. Now it's going to give me for a report for the next plugin that I want to submit a report for. It'll keep the stuff that I entered previously. So if I just want to do the same stuff for all my reports, I can just press enter a whole bunch and it will let me submit a report for all of these plugins. And there we go. And if you press enter again, so if you hold enter, it'll just go to close and you won't do any damage or anything like that. So if I press enter again, it will close this. So we're now going to close it, and there we go. We've now made a whole bunch of reports. If we go to the MP subfolder, you can see there's a whole bunch of text files here for all the reports you just made. Now you could edit these text files, but I really wouldn't. Yeah, if this is malformed when it's received by the server will just discard it. So don't try to abuse that. It's not going to work. Anywho, we've made these reports, but we haven't actually submitted them to the server to be incorporated into the dictionary file yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to run the merge plugins report client. And then we're going to enter a username here. I recommend you use your Nexus Mods username, because then everyone can tell that it was you who submitted that report, and they can be like, hey, I know that guy from Nexus Mods. So yeah, I'm just going to enter Mator, and then you click Login. If everything's right, if the server's running, you'll see connection accepted. And then you can both get an updated dictionary, which I recommend you do each time before you merge, at most once a day. So I'm going to click on that, Get Dictionary. You'll see it gets an updated dictionary. Right now it's 237. Just got that file. So anyways, and we can also click Send Reports. And what Send Reports will do is it'll send all of your report files to the server and it will move them to the submitted folder. So all those reports have now been submitted. We're going to click log out and we're going to close. And that's that. You've now made reports and submitted them, and they will at some point in the future be incorporated in the dictionary. I will be doing that on the server side about once a week. Anywho, one last thing. One last new feature in version 1.7. If we apply the merged plugin manager to a merged plugin, what we can do is we can check one of these mods and click remove. And what that will allow us to do is it will allow us to surgically remove the form IDs associated with that mod, assuming they're not in any of the other mods, from the merged plugin. So it's like you basically just rip that plugin out. So let's just say you have an updated one. You can remove it and merge it back in. So yeah, that's really cool new feature. If I click remove here, it'll remove the form IDs associated with that. After you've removed a plugin though, any plugins, you really have to close the merge plugin manager, and if you want to remove anything else, you should apply it again so it updates this list and the one you removed is no longer in there. But anyways, that's how that works. I think that might be just about it. So we've now submitted reports, generated reports. I've shown you how to remove plugins. I've shown you how to create a merged plugin. I've shown you how to install Test5Edit, how to install the script itself, how to use Mod Organizer with it. One last thing. Okay. So once you've made your merged plugin and you want to actually test it in game, what you want to do is disable all of the ESPs associated with the mods you merged. So in this case, that's all of these. So we're just going to disable all of these ESPs, because all of the contents of these ESP files are now included in your new one. And then you're going to move your merged plugin to the highest load order position of the plugins you merged. Now in this case, I actually have some masters up here, so hypothetically I could move it all the way up there, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put it here. It's alright if it's here. I know my load order. So anyways, that's just about it. You could also, if you really wanted to, if you didn't want to have these ESPs listed here at all, you could copy the assets from them into the folder for your new merged plugin. So like, I know I merged browse. If I right click and go open Explorer, I can see the ESP file, browse.esp, and all the assets. In this case, just a textures folder. I can copy this folder, go to Open Explorer for character mods, and paste it. And that will basically make the assets available in character mods mod. And if I do that for all the mods I merged, then I can completely uninstall the original mods. But anyways, I'm not going to do that right now. You can do that if you guys want to, if you want to keep things even more organized. Yeah, I think that might be just about it. Yeah. That's pretty much it. You guys should see the description on Nexus Mods if you want to learn any more information. Make a post in the comments thread if you have any questions or need help. Again, lots of information on Nexus Mods, even more than what I went over in this video, so go there if you have any other questions. Yeah. I wish you all best of luck. I hope you enjoy merging plugins, and please, please, please submit reports. I will be so happy if you guys submit lots of reports and build this dictionary into a massive, beautiful thing that anyone can use to merge plugins and know that they can merge stuff and that they can't merge some other stuff. So yeah. Anywho, thanks again for watching. See ya.